Okay, Lamai. So I think we can start today's lesson. So please let me know if you have any audio issues or video issues. Please let me know. I will share the screen in a couple of minutes, and if you can't the screen, please let me know in the chat. So last week, Lamai, we learned how to write a simple Python code, how to define a variable, how to use the print function, like a stuff, very basic stuff about Python. We learned a couple of codes, how to write codes, and we draw a lot of things. We explain a lot of codes, how to write a code, and we explain our codes, what's happening in these codes, likewise things. And today what we are going to do is we are going to learn a new concept called user inputs. Okay, so let me share my screen first. Please let me know if you have any issues with the screen. I hope I'm visible and audible to you properly. Okay, so let's start, Lamai. So in order to explain this, I will take example that we did in the last week. Okay, so if you remember, last week we learned a code, like let's say we have if we want to calculate the total and the average marks of our A-level marks, okay, based on our three subjects, then how to write such a code we learned last week. So let's say my three subjects are let's say physics. So let's say I have 80 marks for physics, and let's say I got 74 maths, and I got should be the highest one, right, since I'm doing the ICT class. Let's say I got 90 for ICT subject. And if you want to find the total, we can create another variable called total, whatever variable we can take, but there are some rules to follow when we are creating variables as well. Let's talk about these stuffs later. Okay, I can create a variable like this, and I can add these three variables. Okay, like I can do that: physics plus maths plus ICT. In this way, I can find the total. So if I want to print the total, then I can use the print function, and I can print the total. And if I want to add some message into this, then I can use strings and comma separated way. I can pass those data into the function, like let's say total is, okay, I'm going to print total is, and then I can put a comma here. What's comma going to do? I think we talked about these things last week. Comma is going to separate those two data that we are going to pass into print function by any space when it's printing this data. Okay, total is total. In this way we can print the total, and let's say we want to find the average as well. Then we can create another variable for average. What is average, Laman? In this case, average is total by 2, total by 3. Okay, we have to divide total by 3. Okay, and we can print average as well. So we can write something like print average is, and we can pass average here. Okay, we know what this comma does. Comma is going to separate these two when it's printing with a space. Okay, let's try to run this code. Let's run this code, and let's see what's happening with this code. Okay, I'm going to use the programmist website as we did in the last week. So let me log into programmist, and here in this online code editor I can use it's easier. Okay, it's easy. I can use the installed software in my computer as well, but this platform is much easier. Okay, this platform is much easier, so I'm going to use this one. So I can write this code. Okay, I got 80 for physics and 74 maths, and let's say ICT 90 marks for ICT. I can find total. I have to add those together, these three variables: physics plus maths plus ICT, and I can print total like this. But if I want to add some message, okay, let's try to let's run this for now. Okay, here we are getting output as 240. So I want to add some message as well here. This is not very user friendly, because when someone see this number, he don't know what is this. Okay, now here lamai we can see the code, but when you are using a software, basically we don't know what's happening in the code. Okay, we can't see the code, we just see the application. Okay, here we can see the output. Here we can see the code as so for now we know, okay, this is total. But let's say I create this software and I give this to one of my friend, and he execute this, not code, the software. Okay, when you buy a software from internet, or when you download the software from internet, you don't see the code nilamai. Okay, when you provide this software to your friend, he is not going to see this code. Okay, there will be only a icon that you can double click on that, and when command prompt or whatever screen will be appeared, then this 240 will be printed there. Okay, so my friend, whoever using this application, he don't know, okay, what is this 240. So it's better if we can provide some message with this output. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass total is. Okay, total is message with this. Okay, total is. Now whoever going to see this output, he know, okay, this is total. Okay, now here total is 240. So a person or user who is going to use this software, it is very user friendly for him. Okay, user experience is better here, because he know what is this output now. And in this way we can pass some couple of data, okay, into this print function by comma separated. And what's this comma going to do, when at the runtime, it will separate these two data by any space. Now here you can see total is, we have this total is parameter which is passed into the print function, and here we have the total, which is a variable. Okay, in this case it is a variable. We have passed this total variable into the print function, and those two data has been separated by this space. Okay, those two data has been separated by this space in the runtime by this print function. Okay, now I can find the average as well. So I can write average, and what's the definition of average? We have to divide total by the total number of subjects. Now here we have 3 subjects, so I have to divide total by 3, and I can print average. And this time also I can use the same format that I used in the when I print in the total. So okay, I'm going to print average is average. I'm passing this variable. So what's going to print? It will print this string, which is average is, and then it's going to, since there is a comma, it's going to separate these two data by a space, and it will print average then. Okay, so what's the average now? 240 into by divided by 3 is 80. It should print 80. So in this case, okay, super. Okay, we got some error. Now let's see Lama. Okay, it's better. We got some error. Now we got some opportunity to investigate this. Okay, now I think last week also I let you know, I teach you how to do what, how to when we get an error. Okay, what we should do. Okay, we talk about that in last week as well. So here when we get some error, you have to read these error messages. Okay, otherwise some people, what they are doing, whenever they get some error message, they are looking at the code again. Okay, they are trying to go through the code, and they are trying to understand, okay, where I have done wrong. Okay, what I have done incorrectly in my code. People not basically, most of the time students do this, have this bad practice. Okay, when we are in the software industry, we can't avoid reading this error messages. Definitely have to read these error messages, but sometimes students are used to ignore these error messages, and they are try to understand where they have this error. Okay, in their code. Okay, they are just trying to read their code, but just don't do that. Read the error message. Okay, read the error message, and you have to do that. So give me a minute. Okay, increase the screen size. Now I don't know how to remove that. Okay, give me 1 minute. it's giving different user interfaces error. I'm not sure how this is appeared in the recording, that's why I'm worried about. I'm not sure whether the screen is interrupting the screen. So if I close this, yeah, it's going to end the meeting. How I can if I set speaker mode, then I think it's going to okay. Just I'm not very familiar with the Zoom environment as well. What you should do? Let me. Okay. What you should do? Okay. If I minimize that, okay, then I'm going to get this figure. Okay, super. Okay, now what I was talking is I was talking about is whenever you get some error message, okay, whenever you get some error message, definitely you have to read this error message and you have to understand what you have done wrong in your code using this error message, not by reading your code again, Lamai. Okay, you done that, you already have did that mistake in your code while you are coding, so it's no way that you can find this error again just by looking at your code, Lamai. Okay, most of the time you are going to miss that part where then you mistake again. Okay, so read the error message carefully and then come to your code, because error message contains, okay, error message has this necessary information in order to find where you have done that mistake. So here in this case, let's see, we have get this error message, and this trace back file name, those things are not very necessary for A-level students. Okay, what you have to do is read the last line. Okay, read the last line in A level, it's more than enough. Okay, it's enough to read the last line, because there are all the information that you need in order to debug this error that you have done in your code. It's enough to read the last line. So here you can see we get some title for the error. Okay, we get some title for error. So here we can see it's name error. Okay, it's name error. So right now you don't understand that, because you don't know what are the names. Okay, what are the names, you don't know what are the names in this Python context, what you call names, you don't know that part. So that's why you can't understand that part yet. But when we are learning about variables, okay, how to name a variable, how to give a name to a function, how to name a class, like a stuff, when we are learning these things, we are going to learn what's the name. Okay, then you can read the error message. Okay, actual error message here is mentioned that name average is not defined. Okay, name average is not defined. When you read this thing, Lamai, definitely you get some idea. Okay, I got some variable called average, then you know, okay, where you are getting this error. And also if you read the line above the last one, Lamai, you can see line 9. Okay, you are getting this error at the line 9. Okay, line number 9. Here you are getting this error. So what is the error message? Name average is not defined. Here name average is variable. He's mentioning, talking about this variable. It's not defined. That means this variable has not been created in your code before you are going to use this variable. Okay, before the point you are using this variable has not been created yet. But here you have this variable, right? No, there is some special spelling mistake. Okay, there's a small spelling mistake here. You can see I use AVA, but here it is AVE. Okay, that's the mistake that we have done. So if we correct this one, okay, then let me run this code again. Here you can see we get the correct output. Here total is 240 and average is 80. In this way, we can run our course and we can get outputs. Okay, now what we are going to learn today is, Lamai, about user inputs. Okay, we are going to learn about user inputs. Now using this code, we can understand why we need to use user inputs and what are the user inputs, like things we can explain using this particular code. Okay, now assume you are a software engineer. You created this code. Okay, you created this software where you can find your total and the average for A-level subjects. Okay, and then you build this software and you can use this software. Okay, you are the person who build this software and you can use this software, but you let your one of your friend know that hello Machang, I build a awesome software. When you know, when you get your result sheet, or when you get your marks for your three subjects in A level class, you can find the total and average using this software. Okay, I build this software. Okay, you told to your friend. Okay, you are telling to your friend, and friends also ask, okay Machang, sounds like a awesome software. Could you could you give me that software? Okay, told a friend is asking you. So definitely you agree to that. Okay, you are happy to provide the software to your friend, and what you are going to do. Okay, as a software engineer, what you are going to do. Let's say your friend is not a IT not from a IT background. Okay, he is not ICT student. So you can't provide this code to him, Lamai. Okay, you are not going to provide this code because he is not ICT student, and he can't understand whatever we have written in this code. Okay, so you have to provide this software as an application. Okay, as an application where he can double click on some icon, and after that he can get some results. Okay, you can create software like that. Okay, so let's say, however, your friend got this uh, software or the program as application. Now if I show you, okay, now the problem, in order to make this very clear to you, let me show you how to build a application or a software or a executable using this program, and how we can share this with friends. Okay, I'm going to use ChatGPT for this purpose, and I'm going to find out how to package executable in Python. Okay, how to I want to package, or I want to yeah, let's say package simple Python code as a executable. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT how to do that. There should be some toolings that we can use. Pip install. There is a tool called PyInstaller. Okay, we can use this in order to perform this task. So I'm going to do that. First, let's go into our folder where we used to save our Python codes. Okay, this folder, I'm going to create a new folder for this. Okay, let's create new folder here, and I'm going to name this as let's say Python English Medium. Okay, and I'm going to go inside this project folder, and I'm going to create another folder for this particular project. Okay, let's say marks calculator. Okay, marks calculator, and I'm going to create I'm going to open these things. You don't need to understand, Lamai. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create a simple we are calling this virtual environment. Okay, you don't have to understand this. I don't remember the exact command for that. I think it's you don't have to, I think you have to mention this env, and the current location. Yeah, in this way I think we can create a virtual environment. You don't need to understand these things. Just watch this. Okay, what I'm doing, I'm going to create a virtual environment where I have a that's the problem that I can't teach you that. Okay, we have Python installed there, and also we can manage some encapsulated dependencies in this environment. You don't understand these things, so just don't worry about this one. Okay, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to just activate this environment state. I think it's activate.ps1. Super. Then I'm going to go inside. I think, yeah, I can do that here. Okay, I'm going to open, and I'm going to open a terminal here. Okay, just close this one, and I hope you can see my screen properly. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to open a terminal, and these things, Lamai, you don't understand, so don't worry about these things. Okay, I'm going to again activate this virtual environment. I can do this using /script activate.py. Okay, now we have a virtual environment. Then I'm going to run this code jspip install. It's going to install some another softwares. Okay. These are another softwares. We can use this software or packages. Okay, so, like packages that we can use with our Python program. And we have to write our Python code as well. So I'm going to write my Python code. Let's say my code. Okay, it's better we can take proper name. Let's say the same name, markscalc.py. Okay, this is my code. So now let's take the code that we wrote in this environment. So this is the code, and I'm going to paste it here. And in this environment also I can write and run this code now. Okay. Yeah, okay, I have this code. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a software, okay, a package that we can share with our friends using this Python code. Okay, and yeah, I can use this command, and it's not hello this time. I have to check. Okay, I should tell me don't have such a code, but anyway, I'm going to copy this one. Let's paste it here. Now what is my file? It's markscalc.py. Okay, here. So it's going to bundle my program into a single application where I can share. Okay, even a friend who don't have Python, he can use this one. Okay, my friend who don't know anything about programming, he can use this. Okay, now it has been built. So let's go into this code. I'm not sure it's in build. Dist. Yeah, I think here we have this executable. Okay, now this project I can share with my friends as well. They don't have to have installed Python on their computers, and they don't have to have some Python knowledge in order to use my program. Now they just have to double click on this code. Okay, now the problem is going to open the application and it will print the output. Okay, the output that we are going to get here. Okay, the output that we are getting here is going to print the output, and it will be finished. The program is going to terminate. Okay, that's why we get that output. Okay, the command line pop up and it's print the answer and it's terminated. The application is getting terminated. So you can see here. Yeah, see, it's happening very quickly. So let me update this code. So just don't worry about what I'm doing here. Okay, just don't worry about what I'm doing here. Just write this simple step. So then it's not going to be terminated quickly. Okay, then we can see the output properly. And again, I'm going to run this code, run this line, and let's wait a couple of seconds. It's going to build the application again. Okay. Build this application for me again. Okay, now yeah, if we go to this place again, and yeah, in the list here, you can see, now you can see this is a program that we can share with our friends. So they just have to double click on this application. They just don't have to have any Python knowledge or programming knowledge. They don't have to install Python into their computers. There are no any dependencies. Okay, so this is how basically we are sharing softwares. Okay, you get the idea, right? This is how basically we are sharing softwares with each other. We are not going to as I explained previously, when my friend asked for this awesome software that I built to calculate total and average for my 3 subjects in A level, when he asked for this particular software, it is not a best practice to provide him the code. Okay, here's the code that I used to build my software. Please bring that home and build your own software. We can't say something like that. Okay, we have to provide the software where he can use in double click or whatever in a very easy way, because my friend, can't expect them to know Python or them to install Python into their computer. So I can't do that. Okay, I can't do that. This is how we are sharing software. Okay, in this way. But now you can see what's the problem. Okay, now when I provide this software to my friend, okay, if I provide this software to one of my friend who already know Python and who have installed Python on their software, they can say now every time. Okay, now I'm going to run this code again. Okay, now what's the output that I'm going to get? Total is 240 and average is 80. Okay, this is the output that I'm going to get. Okay, I'm going to run this code again. Now my friend is going to run this software. Now let's imagine he got 94 each subjects. Okay, he got 94 each subjects. Now he going to run this software, but what's the problem here? Also he is getting output as 240 and 80. Now this is not correct line. Okay, this is incorrect. This is wrong. Because why? He had the software should have that feature to input his data line. Okay, I can't now what has happened? What is happening here, line? Okay, I have provided these marks into this software, but I don't let him to input his marks. Okay, my friend's marks, he can't input marks into this software. That's a problem. Okay, now this is where we can leverage the user input functionality, which is inbuilt with Python. Okay, every software, every programming language has this feature element. Okay, we can let our user to enter data into our softwares, because we are not going to share the code with our friends. Okay, we are going to share application with our friend, not the code. Okay, basically code is inside that application. Okay, code is there. Okay, but user is not going to access this code element. Whoever the user is going to use this application, he can't see the code element. Okay, code is there, but in a different format, basically in machine language. Okay, in machine language, code is there, but he can't access the code. So this is why we have to have some feature to let users who are using this application to enter their details. Now basically when we are download the software from internet, let's say we download Photoshop software. Okay, we download the Photoshop software. Now when we are using the Photoshop software, we can provide the photo into the Photoshop software. Otherwise, let's imagine now when we are download the Photoshop software, they are going to send some photos with bundle to the Photoshop software, and we can use only those photos. We can enter our photos into the software element. Imagine the nightmare. We can't put our photos. We just can keep on editing the photos that they have seen. Okay, that's not a very good software element. Okay, we should let user to enter their data into our software. Okay, now in this application as well, we should let user to enter their marks into this program line. Okay, we should provide that feature to them. So today we are going to learn how to do that in Python line. Okay, today we are going to learn how to take user inputs into our code using a Python programming language. Okay, now I hope you understood that part, the theoretical part that we talk about that, and now let me explain you this some example now. Okay, now what we are going to do, we are going to get some user input into our code line. Okay, here we have our program or our code. Okay, let's say this is our program. What we are going to do, we are going to get some input from our user. We are going to get some input from user. Now in Python, okay, in Python programming language, we had a function to, okay, we had a function to output things from our code. Okay, we had a function to output things from our code. What's that function? We use the print function. Okay, we use print function to output things from our code. Now here, when I run this program, you can see. Okay, let me decrease the size a bit, and okay, I'll this one here, and let me clear the screen. Let's try to run this code. Python marks .py. Okay, here you can see we are using this print function to output things. Okay, here you can see this data is coming out to our from our program line. Okay, here we are using the print function to do this. Okay, in order to output something from our program to the outside world, we are using the print function. In the same way, we have to have some function which let us take user input into our code. Okay, the function that has been provided is input. Okay, it is input. Using the input function, we can get user data into our program. Okay, we can take user data into our program. This is what's going to happen. Now let's say I want to take some numbers. Okay, I want to take a number. But the problem here when we are using, okay, let me show you first how we can use this input function to get some data. Okay, before going to that data type part, let me explain you how we can do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do, so I will remove this part, and okay, let's go to the program steps because this is much easier. Okay, what I'm going to do now, we know we can use this input function in order to get user input into our code. So I'm going to write this input function, and this is my code. Okay, this is my code. Now if I run my code, nothing is going to happen. Okay, nothing is happening. Why is that? Because Lamai, yeah, we are taking some input, but we are doing nothing Lamai. So how we know we can enter some input? Now if you go to this output section Lamai, yeah, but unfortunately the cursor is not blinking here, but here you can enter some data Lamai. Okay, let me enter some data. I'm going to enter some number. Okay, I'm going to enter number 10, and now code is done Lamai. Okay, input function waits until I enter some data, because here when the interpreter executing this input function, it's wait until user enter some data. Okay, let me run this code again. Now here you can see this is turn on, this is keep on turning Lamai. Okay, this keep on turning. It's not going to end the program. Okay, here we have only one line this program, but it's not ending. It's waiting until it's keep on turning Lamai. Okay, because interpreter is waiting until user enter some data. Okay, here now what I'm going to do, I'm going to enter some data, and when I enter and I press the enter key, now input function is over. That means input functionality is over. Interpreter read that data. Okay, interpreter read that data, and it has been brought into our program. Okay? It has been brought into our program, but still I'm not getting any output. Okay, I'm still not getting any output. Why is that? Okay, now this is not the output. Okay, this is what I have entered. Okay, here when I let me run this code again, and here I'm going to enter number 3. This is what I have entered. Okay, this is what I have entered. Now this number 3 is in my program. Now how I know? Okay, I can't see any output here. Okay, it's reasonable. Okay, because why? I haven't output anything from my code. In my code there is only one thing, which is this input function. Okay, I have done nothing else than that. So in order to put something, I have to use the print function. Okay, I have to use print function. Let's say I want to print this number. Okay, whatever the number user input, I want to print that number. Okay, I want to print that number. So what I'm going to do, in order to print that number, before print that, somehow I have to catch this number. Okay, I have to catch this number. This input function capable of getting the user input. Okay, input function is capable of getting the user input from command prompt to the code. Okay, that's what he is doing. Okay, now we are responsible to catch this data in our code. So we can do this using a variable. Okay, I'm going to create a variable, like let's say variable a, and I'm assigning this input function to this variable. Now what's going to happen, interpreter is waiting until this when interpreter executing this line, what's going to happen is whenever the interpreter see this input function, he waits until user enters some data. Whenever user enters some data and he press enter in his keyboard, he's going to cache this data and he's going to assign that data to this variable, which is a. Okay, so what's going to happen, let's say we have this input function. Okay, a equals input, and we have this input function. Now when interpreter executing this line, whenever interpreter see this line, what's he going to do? So he's going to, now this is not for A level student, but let me just explain how this line is going to be executed. It is like it's going to create some tree like data structure. Okay, here we have a this side, and here we have input in this side. Okay, this is how Python is executing our program. So it's going to right side first. Okay, when he see this equal symbol, okay, or assignment symbol, what he's going to do, he's going to execute the right side first. Okay, he's going to execute the right side first. Don't remember these things. Okay, these are not for A level students. So he will first execute this part. Okay, he's going to execute this part. So there is input function. Whenever the interpreter see the input function, what is going to do? He waits until user input some data. Okay, he waits until user input some data. And here also interpreter is going to wait until user inserts some data. Now what happened? Let's say now user input some data, and then what is going to do? He is going to execute this assignment operator. Okay, let's learn those things later. Okay, that means whatever the value that user has been entered, okay, user has entered, it will be assigned to this variable. Like let's say user entered number 3. Okay, user entered number 3. That means there is no what is going to happen? 3 will be replaced here. Okay, number 3 is going to replace this thing, Lamai. Okay, that's what going to happen. That means this happened using there's something called return. Okay, there's something called return in the input function. Just don't have to remember these things yet. You have to learn those things under functions. You have to learn those returns as well, but just it's not necessary right now. Okay, what's going to happen whenever user enter number 3 and hit enter on the keyboard? What's going to happen? This input, okay, the input that we had here is going to be replaced by number 3. Okay, it's going to be replaced by number 3, and then this number 3 will be assigned to this variable. Okay, number 3 will be assigned to this variable. So let's say after executing this line, after getting executed in this line, then variable A will have number 3. That's what going to happen. Variable A will have number 3. Now we can print this number. Okay, now we can print this variable because this variable contains the data whatever user has been entered. User have entered whatever data user have entered. It's now this variable A holds that data. Okay, so we can print that data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to print A. Okay, let's say now here you can see interpreter is waiting. Okay, interpreter is waiting until user enters some data. Okay, I'm going to enter number 10. Now you can see this is the number 10 that I have entered. This is the number 10 I'm going to get through this print function. Okay, through this print function. Here we can get output in this way. Now in this way, I can let user to enter marks. Okay, I can let user to enter marks into these 3 variables. So I'm going to use the same code that I had previously. Okay, here I'm going to replace these marks, replace these hard-coded marks with this input function. Okay, input function, because I want to let my friend to enter his marks into this program. Okay, I'm going to use these input functions, rather putting my data into assigning this into these variables. Okay, now whenever interpreter comes here, he is going to wait until user enters some data, and whenever user enters some data, it will be assigned to physics, variable physics. And when interpreter comes to this line, again he is going to wait until user enters some data, and input function is going to catch that data and it will be assigned to variable maths. And again same thing will be happening in the third line as well. So now let's run this code. Now let's run this code. Okay, again now interpreter is waiting. Okay, interpreter is waiting. Now I can enter the physics marks. Okay, and I can enter the physics mark. Now for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this average part. Okay, I'm going to remove this average part because if average mark is there, it's not going to work. It's going to throw some error. Okay, I'm going to enter physics mark. Let's say I got 55 for physics, and let's say I got 84 for maths, and let's say I got 96 for ICT. Okay, when I enter, again I'm going to okay, I remove that part after only I'm clicking on the right button. So let me run this code again. Okay, again I'm going to enter the physics mark. Let's say 54, and okay, it's not working. Okay, now it's working. I'm going to enter physics marks, and then I will enter maths marks, and I will enter ICT marks. Now you can see I'm getting some output, but this is not correct, okay, this is not correct, this is incorrect. We have to learn why we are getting this incorrect output. Okay, that part is let's talk about that part later. First here let's try to understand what's happened here. Okay, here in this way I can input my marks. Okay, I can input my marks into this program. Okay, now again let's take this code. Again let's take this code, and let's put this code here, and I'm just going to provide this input function here, because now previously you saw that whenever I don't have this input function, okay, the program is going to terminate it super fast, so we can't see the output. But when we have a input function here, what's going to happen? Interpreter is going to wait until I'm enter some data. Now you know how input function is working. Okay, so input functions, the interpreter is going to wait until user enters some data. Okay, that's why the terminal is going to wait without terminating line. Okay, that's the functionality that I'm achieving through this input function. This is not here I don't need to get any input line. Okay, here I don't need to get any input. I'm just freezing the terminal. Okay, I'm just freezing the terminal, avoiding terminal terminating. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Terminal or the command prompt. I'm talking when I say terminal, I'm talking about this command prompt. Okay, I think you know about this, right? We also say terminal to this whatever the black box that we are having here. Okay, so here just don't think this is not a very good practice, Lama. Okay, we can't do this. We can't in the end of every program we can't write this input function. This is a very bad practice of programming. But here in this case, I'm just writing this in order to freeze the terminal. Lama. Okay, this is the function that I'm achieving through this input function. So again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to build this application, Lama, and I'm going to build application using this code. Okay, now again I can't provide this code to my friend, Lama. Okay, I can't provide this code to my friend and say, okay, this is the software, this is the program, please go home and install Python into your computer, run this code. I can't say like that. Okay, because he is not ICT student. Okay, because he's not ICT, let's say he's a commerce student. He don't know anything about ICT. Okay, he don't know anything about commerce student also can do ICT. Okay, but let's say he's not doing he's doing chemistry. Okay, he's in the same class with me in maths class and he's doing chemistry, and so because of that he can't run this code because he don't know how to install Python, how to write, how to run a Python program. He don't know. So I can't provide the code. I have to provide the application number. Okay, I have to provide the software that he can use by double clicking on some icon like a software. I have to provide it. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to build this application again, and then you can see there will be some application as you saw previously. So let's try that again. Okay, here again we have this application now. Okay, let me go back and come here. Okay, now we have this application. Now I can double click and run this software element. Okay, now I can double click and run my program. Okay, now my program is running. Now what is happening, Lama? Now what is happening? If we go to the code again, now you can see in the first line we have this input function. Okay, we have this input function. Now interpreter is waiting until I'm entering some data, Lama. Okay, input function is interpreter is wait until I enter some data. Now I provide this software to my friend, and here since I wrote the code, Lama. Okay, since I wrote the code, now I know why anything is not happening. Okay, now I know, okay, the interpreter is waiting until I'm entering some data. But when my friend runs this code, do we know that, Lama? Okay, he don't know anything about that. Why? We are not going to provide code to him. Also, he know, even though let's say I provided him the code, but he don't know anything about programming, Lama. Okay, so he don't know, okay, what is happening now. He don't know what's happening. What is the reason? What is the reason? I have to tell the end user, please enter physics marks. I have to tell something. I have to give him some message, Lama. Okay, then only he knows, okay, now I have to enter physics marks. Then only he knows, okay, yes, I have to enter physics marks. Then he can enter physics marks, Lama. Okay, so I have to send some message. Okay, so I can do that by using print function, Lama. Okay, using print function I can do that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to print enter physics marks. Okay, I'm going to print this. In the same way, I'm going to print enter maths mark. In the same way, I'm going to print enter ICT marks. Okay, in this way, I can let user know, okay, what is the data that you should enter. Okay, then the user experience is better. Okay, user experience is much better because he know, okay, what's the data that I should enter. Now, if I open a web form, Lamai, now whenever you trying to logging into some website, okay, when you are trying to log into some website, imagine you get a form like this. Okay, let's open this image in new tab. Okay, here you can see you got this form. Okay, you got this form. but imagine now here it is very easy to fill this form because you know what to enter into these boxes. Here it's the name is mentioned, and first name, last name, everything. The email you have to enter here because you know you have this label here. Okay, you can enter the phone number, address, street address, okay, everything you can enter because you know what you should enter. Okay, because these labels are there. But imagine Lamai, you get the same form without these labels. Without these labels, then it will become a nightmare. Lamai. You don't know what to enter. Okay, you don't know what data you should enter here. Okay, there are three boxes. Is that about my 3 marks? 3 marks for my each subjects? You don't know anything. So that's why this form is very user friendly because user know what data he should enter. Okay, what data he should enter. Okay, in the same way Lamai, we have to do this here. Okay, in the same way we have to do this here. Okay, I'm going to get this code into programs again. Okay, now I have print the message. Okay, now I have let the user know, okay, what the data that he should enter into the program. So let me run this code again, and here you can see now he get a message Lamai. Okay, enter physics mark. Now user know what data that he should enter. Okay, now interpreter execute this line, and that's why I got this output line. And now interpreter is here and he's waiting until I enter some data because now input function is there and interpreter has executed that. So interpreter waits until I enter some data. Okay, let's say I'm going to enter my physics data, like let's say 85, and again after that line interpreter comes here and he executes this line. From this line we get this output, enter maths marks. Enter maths marks. And now user know, okay, I should enter maths marks now. Okay, he knows that. Okay, he's going to enter his maths mark and then his ICT marks. Okay, now this program is much more user friendly. Okay, much more user friendly than the previous version that we had. Okay, just ignore this part, Lamai. Okay, just ignore this part because the error that we are getting here, because this is a very incorrect result, Lamai. It is not possible these three numbers to be this big. Okay, it's not possible. So something is happening here. Okay, I will tell you what's happening, but right now just ignore that part. Okay, just ignore that part. Now when we are enter inputs Lamai, this is much more user friendlier than the previous version. Okay, and one more thing Lamai. Now here I am using this print function and input function for the same thing Lamai. Okay, here I put the message and using this function I am getting the data. Now in Python Lamai, in Python they have provided a feature. You don't have to write explicit print function in order to print this into screen. What you can do, you can pass this message. Okay, you can pass this message into this input function. Okay, into this input function. How? You can put this here and you can get rid of this print function Lamai. Okay, so the same thing will happen Lamai. Same thing will happen. Now input function internally, input function is going to print this. Okay, now we don't have to write the explicit print function or separate print function. We don't have to write. Okay, input function is going to print this into the screen internally. Okay, so we can do the same here. Okay, we can copy this, we can put this into the input function and we can get rid of this print function. Okay, we don't have to write this print. The same thing for ICT as well. Same thing for ICT as well. I can get rid of this ICT, this print, okay, this print function. Now let's try to run this code again. Okay, here now you can see you get enter physics marks, and here is not going to the next line as well. Okay, it's not going to the next line as well. So let me put hyphen here, so it's become much more user friendly. Okay, it's much more user friendly now. So now here you can say it's going to print enter physics marks, and then I can enter physics marks here. See, it is very user friendly. Okay, now this time it's much more user friendlier than the previous version. Okay, I can enter 3 marks and I'm going to get some output which is not correct here. Okay. In this way I can get inputs easier, and my friend is also know what to input. Okay, end user know, okay, what data he should enter. Okay. He knows, okay, what data he should enter into our program. Now let's try to build the application from this program, and let's see how this program is going to work. Okay, I'm going to run this command again. Let's wait until it's built in the application. Okay, application has been built. Now I'm going to run this code again. Okay, it's the old application. So let me refresh this. If I run this code again, same output. Why I'm getting that? See that build properly. Now here you can see enter physics smart. We have that here. I am getting the incorrect output. Then a refresh. Okay, here we have refresh. Yeah, still I'm not getting. I think maybe a mistake. Let's build that project again. I'm going to remove this time. Okay. The problem is still this program is open from the previous state. If I run this again, okay, that's right. It doesn't build properly, Lama. Okay, it has been built properly because I forgot to close the previous one. Okay, it's not. Okay, now it's deleted. Let me build the program again. We build the program. Okay, the program is built. Now let me run this code. Now here you can see I'm getting this message: enter physics marks. Okay, enter physics marks. I get this message. Now I can enter my physics marks here. Okay, now I can happily use this program because I know what are the data that I should enter. Now the user experience is much better. Okay, I'm very happy until here. Whenever I see the output, again I'm not happy now because I'm not getting the correct output. Okay, again I'm not getting the correct output. Let's try to learn. Let's learn now what is happening here. Okay, what's happening here. Before moving to that part, Lamai, before moving to that part, I'll give you a couple of minutes to take this code. Okay, before that, let me draw some diagram which explain this input function. So what's going to happen, Lamai? We have our code here, our program. We have our program, and here we have input function. Okay, we have input function. And user is going to pass some data into this input function. User going to throw some data into the input function, and here into the input function we can pass some message line. Okay, we can pass a message. So this message will be printed to the screen before interpreter waits until user enter some data. Okay, this message will be print first to the screen, and then interpreter start waiting until user enter some data. Okay, in this way user can enter some data into the program. Okay, user can enter some data into a program. Okay, yeah, I'll give you a couple of minutes to take this into a note. Okay, take a couple of minutes to this write down this now. Just don't copy paste this into your notebook. Okay, just don't copy paste. Just first look at the board and try to understand what happened. Okay, what we learned so far, and try to take your own note. Okay, it's no matter if you there's no point if you are going to copy paste this into your code, because the video is already in the video will be already in the online YouTube. So if you want this exact note, then you can watch the video. Okay, there's no point you are copy paste this into your book. Just take down your own note. Okay, take down your own note. You can write down each steps that we used to come to here. Okay, like why we need inputs. Okay, why we need inputs, and why we need to put some message into this input function. Okay, likewise you can write those things, take those things into your note as well. Okay. Just don't copy paste this into your book. Take a couple of minutes. I'm going to turn off my mic for a couple of minutes. You can use some minutes, can use a couple of minutes to take note. Okay, Lami, I think time is enough. So let's move into the next part. We are going to understand what's happening here, Lamai. Okay, why we are getting that weird output when we add three numbers together. Why we are getting that weird output, we are going to learn that part. So before moving to that part, Lamai, we have to understand a concept called data types. Concept called data type in programming language, Python language. Okay, now when we are creating variables, now we use variables to store some data. Okay, we create variable to hold data. Like I can create a variable a, I can assign some data here. Let's say I'm going to assign 65. Okay, and I can create a variable called name, and I can assign data like my name, which is Buddhi. Okay, and I can create a variable called like let's say height, and I can assign let's say 5.6. Okay, like as well, there are different data types that we can use in our program. Okay, we can use in our code. We call these data types. Okay, we call this data types. Okay, we call this data types. In Python, okay, in Python there are several data types, okay, there are several data types, and we can divide these data types into two parts: primitive data and complex data as well. Okay, primitive data and complex data. But right now we are going to talk about only primitive data. Okay, yeah, right now we are going to talk about only primitive data, and we have a couple of primitive data types. The first one is integer. The first data type that we are having in Python is integer. Integer means whole numbers. Okay, whole numbers might be positive or negative. Whole numbers like 65, 3, minus 90, like whole numbers we are calling integers. Okay, there are no any fractional part. Okay, fraction part. The second one is floating points. Second type is floating points. Floating points means the numbers which have a fractional part. Okay, here you can see 5.6 is a fraction. Now let me write some examples under the data type, like let's say 3, minus 5, 100, and 0 also integer. Okay, when it comes to floating points, there are a fraction part, like let's say the 5 value we are having in the mathematics, which is 3.14, and the g in physics, what's the gravitational acceleration, I think. Okay, I don't know the exact English word for that. I think it is 9.8. Okay, likewise, these are the floating point data. And we have another data type called string, which are for text data. Okay, which are for text data, which are not meant to use for calculations. Okay, which are not meant to use for calculation, like let's say data like name. Okay, like let's say data like Buddhi. When we are writing strings, okay, when we are writing strings, we definitely have to put these colons. Not, these are not colons, these are quotes. Okay, quotes side by side with the string data. Okay, we can use either single quote or double quote. Okay, in programming, in Python language, both are allowed. Okay, both are allowed. Also there are three quotes thing as well. Okay, I will talk these things later. Okay, I will go in depth about these strings, and there I will talk about these things. Okay, here we can use, when we are defining string, we can either use single quotes or double quotes, but it should be same in both sides. If we use single quotes in the left side, it has to be single quote on the right hand side as well. Okay, like let's say I want to create a string called ABC, then we have to mention a string like this. Okay, again also, like let's say I want to create a string XYZ, then we can create this string like this. We can put double quotes in order to mention, okay, in order to notify, okay, this is an string. Okay, in order to tell that we can write this. Also, let's consider another data, like let's say a phone number. Okay, phone number. As you think, what do you think? Is it an integer or a string, What do you think? Phone number is a string or integer? In the first lesson, basic concepts of ICT, in the first lesson of your ICT subject, you learn a lesson called basic concepts of ICT. Under the basic concepts of ICT, now you learn this about this data. Okay, I think you might have learned. And phone number. Okay, what do you think about that? Is it an integer or a string? It is a string, Okay, why it is an string? because we are not using mobile numbers in order to do any calculations lamai. Okay, it's just a data for us. It's not meant to be, it's not meant to do any calculations lamai. Okay, let's say we are in a queue in a bank. Let's say in a bank cashier we are in a queue, and my mobile number is, let's say, 12345, and I can't derive the phone number the person behind me by adding 1 to that. Okay, that's not possible now. So even though phone number is contains some digits, it's not a number lamai, because there is no any uh, numeric behavior, numeric property. There is no any numeric property lamai. Okay, even though it's made by digits or numbers, there's no any numeric value into this phone number. Okay, so because of that, mobile number is also a string lamai. Okay, mobile number also is a string, so it's better, it's a best practice if we can store mobile numbers as strings. Okay, let's say 07117653556. Okay, this is my phone number. If you want to join my classes, then you can call this number. Okay, and let's say another data which is created by digits but it's a string. Okay, uh, think about the mailbox number in your home. Okay, it is also a string llama. Okay, it is also a string. Okay, let's say 15, number 15. Okay, basically we put some we put number 15. This is how we are basically write our mailbox number in our letters and everything. And these things are strings lamai. Okay, these things are strings. When we are mentioning a string, we have to put these quotes side by side with that string data. And also we have another data type called boolean now. Okay, we have another data type called boolean. Now since you are I think even though you are 2024 student or 2025 student, you have learned about the you might have finished logic gate lesson. Okay, you have finished the logic gate lesson, and there you learn about two data. Okay, two boolean data. In boolean world lamai, we have only two data. What are those? When it's come to integer lamai, okay, when it's come to integer, there are n number of data. Okay, there are infinite amount of data, because 3 minus 500 0 1 2 3 4, likewise there are infinite amount of data which are integers. Also floating points. So when it's come to floating points, there are infinite number of floating points. Also when it's come to string lamai, there are infinite number of strings. But when it's come to boolean, okay, lamai, there are only two data. Okay, there are only two data, which is true and false. Okay, which is true and false. Okay, let me write this. TRUE is true and false. These are the only two data we have in boolean, under boolean data type. Okay, these are the only two data that we have under boolean data type. Now when it's come to Python lamai, you have to take care of this the first letter. Here in this case it's T, and here is capital F. Okay, the first letter should be capital lamai. Okay, in Python, when we are creating some boolean value, which is true or false, we have to make sure the first letter is capital lamai, otherwise it's incorrect. Okay, otherwise it's incorrect in Python world. Let me open the idle and let me show you. So when I say true, okay, it is true lamai. So if I create a variable and I try to assign this value true, and if I print the variable a, here you can see it's working. But if I say something like TRUA with simple t, with small t, then we are getting some error lamai. Okay, he is asking name true is not defined. Did you mean capital? Okay, true with capital T. And he is asking the same question. Okay, so we have to do what? Okay, when we are creating some boolean values, okay, you have to make the T capital and also F capital in false. Okay, here you can see if I create a variable like false, and I can print it, which is T, the output like false. Okay, if I create a, let's say I create a variable r equals, okay, r equals false with simple if, then I'm going to get some error. Okay, I'm going to get this error. So you have to remember that when you are creating true or false values in your Python code, the T and F, the first letters has to be capital. Okay, these are the data types that we have in Python language now. Okay, these are the data types that we have in Python, and we can use this data, we can assign this data into variables, and we can use this variable the data types into in order to create some data. Okay, we can create any data under these data types, and we have another complex data types. Okay, we have a couple of complex data types that we have to learn under Python language, and we are called those are data structures also. Okay, data structures, that mean these data types can hold multiple of these primitive data. Okay, these data structures can hold n number of all the multiple primitive data. Okay, like we have 4 data structures to learn. The first one is list, the second one is tuple, and the third one is dictionary. Okay, dictionary. And the fourth one is set. Okay, these data structures we have to learn, so let's learn those things later. Okay, in future. Let's talk about these data structures now. Here, in order to get some idea, we have this set of data types, these 4 data types in Python language. When it's come to other languages, okay, when it's come to language like Java, there are multiple data types. Okay, I think more than I think around 10 data types are there. Okay, unsigned integer, signed integer, unsigned floating double, unsigned signed double. Likewise, there are many data types. Okay, if I go to Java data types, okay, Java is another programming language. I think you have heard this language. Now here we have this data types, and rather than that, we have these data types as well. Byte, short, int, long, float, double, boolean, char. Okay, there are many data types in Java. Okay, when it's come to other languages like C, data types in C. C is another programming language. Okay, C is another programming language. You can see there are multiple data types. We look at this table here. You can see there are number of data types here: short int, unsigned int. Here's this signed unsigned thing. Okay, here we have this int is signed, this int is unsigned. Okay, do you remember the number system lesson? If you go back to the number system lesson, you might remember that. Okay, you learn the signed numbers, unsigned numbers, and you know how to create the signed numbers in your inside your computer. Okay, using the first complement and the second complement, the ones complement, twos complement concepts you learn, right? And using what's the signed sign magnitude representation. Okay, you learn about sign magnitude representation as well. Okay, well, these are the ways to create sign numbers. Otherwise, we can create unsigned integers. Okay, there are some computer scientific things that if you are going to learn about these things, we are having only 4 bytes, and this range is also different. Here you can see it is half. Okay, this is double like this range because we are going to reserve one bit from these 4 bytes. Okay, here we are using 4 bytes into store integer. Okay, when you are getting questions from the number system lesson, you might have heard this thing. Okay, in an 8-bit computer. Okay, in an 8-bit computer, that means we are using only 8 bits to store our numbers. Okay, store our data. Okay, here we are using 4 bytes, that means 32 bytes. Okay, 32 bytes, that means we can store numbers up to this large number. But when it's come to signed, we have to dedicate 1 bit for the signed bit. Okay, that's why it is half from this number in unsigned part. Okay, these things you already learned. These stuff I can talk about, but it's not necessary. Okay, I will not talk about these things in depth. So anyway, there are 4 data types. Okay, 4 data types in Python, which is integer, floating points, string, and boolean. Okay, integer means whole numbers, floating point means fractional numbers with fractional part, and strings mean any textual data. When we put double quotes side by side with the with any data, it's become a string. Okay, I can create an integer and put these quotes to make this an integer. String. Okay, I can create a floating point value and I can put double quotes side by side with the data, and it's become a string. Okay, string data, and also we have boolean data, which is true and false. Okay, let's take a simple note for this one. Okay, take a simple note for this. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Okay, take a small note, and after understanding each of these data types, we can understand what's the problem with that problem happening when we are adding three numbers together, the numbers that we are getting from the user input, putting as user inputs, and when we are add together we get some incorrect answer. Okay, get an wrong answer. We can investigate why that's happening after we know about the data types, and take some time to take a couple of minutes to take this note line. Okay, Ramai. Let's move to the next part. And okay, I have a message. Pseudocode for task test කරනවද exam එකේ? Yes, definitely. Okay, definitely. I have seen pseudocode from a very long time, but flowchart questions definitely you are going to get long. Okay, definitely you're gonna get flowchart questions. Okay, but in this case I'm not going to talk about flowcharts now. Okay, this is a Python class. I'm not going to talk about any flowcharts. So after learning Python, let's try to understand flowcharts. Let's try to learn some flowcharts and pseudocodes maybe in after learning Python. There are no point. I think I talk about this point at the first day as well. I'm not going to do in that way. We first learn the pseudocode and flowcharts, then move into the Python. It's very boring, lama. Okay, it's very boring way to learn programming language, because there is no need to learn flowcharts in order to understand programming languages, lama. Okay, it's better learn Python first, and in order to getting ready for the exam, just let's learn some some flowcharts later. Okay, let's see. Okay, now we know data types. Now what you are going to do, let's try to understand what's happening in this code, Lama. Okay, what's happening in this code, we are going to learn. Okay, now before that let me create couple of variables with each data types and show you how each of these data types are working. First, let me open the idle environment, and here I'm going to assign some integers into variables. Okay, I can create two integer variables. A is 5 and B is 8, and I can perform various arithmetic operations with this data as well, like a plus B. Like I'm going to get number 13 as output, and I can assign some floating point values into some variables, like let's say a equals, no, not a, let's take, okay, 5 equals 3.14. Okay, 5 equals 3.14, and we can use this. I think oh my god, I think we talked about these things last week, right? I think we didn't do the class for a couple of weeks. We missed this class, I think. That's why I forget this thing. Okay, even though we didn't talk about these things in depth, am I right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about these things. Okay, here, in this way I can create and assign floating points to variables, and I can print some floating point data in this. Okay, and also I can create string data. Okay, like name equals, if I write something like this, name equals Buddhika, then I'm going to get some error. Why? Because there is no such thing like Buddhika in Python context. If this is a string, I have to put quotes. Okay, I have to use quotes beside the this text, which is Buddhika. Okay, I can do the same thing again, and if I put Buddhika here, okay, with double quotes, then I'm not going to get any error, because now this Buddhika word Buddhika is a string. Okay, here I'm not gonna get any error. So let me print the variable name. Okay, here, so again perfect. Okay, so again fine. In this way, I can create each data types, and earlier we saw how to create Boolean data. And also let me do that again. Like let's say s equals true. Okay, in this way we can create Boolean data as well. Okay, so in this way we can use different data types. Now let's try to understand how this input function work again, Laman. Okay, let's try to understand how this input function work. Okay, now here we have our code. Okay, we have our code here. What's up? Okay, we have our code here, and there is our user, and in between user and now basically, yeah, input function is belongs to this code element. Okay, but in order to understand this, let's try to draw this like this. Okay, input, we have this input function here. Okay, so whenever user enter some data into this input function, what's going to happen is, okay, what's going to happen, input function, let's say user may input Boolean data, user may enter string data, okay, user may enter floating point data or integer. User can enter any type of data, okay, there is no any restrictions for that. Okay, here in this case there is no any restrictions, so user can enter any sort of data. If I run this code again and enter physics mark, I can enter string as well. Okay, in order to make that string, I don't have to put quotations, the quote marks here. Okay, double quotes here, I don't have to do that. Only in Python language I have to do that in order to enter some string, I can print anything that I want. Okay, in order to enter when he's asking for the maths mark, I can enter boolean value as well. Okay, I can enter floating point as well. Okay, there is no restrictions. I can enter any sort of data into this program. Okay, yet. Okay. What's happening here is user can enter any type of data, but any data may be entered into input function, but input function always return this data into the code as a string. Okay, that's the behavior of input function. User may enter any sort of data. Okay, any data type user may enter into the input function, but always input function will return this data into the code as a string data. Okay, that's what happened. Okay, it's going to return this into the code as a string. Now when we run this code, okay, when we run this code, let's try to run this code again. Enter physics marks, I'm going to enter 54. Okay, I'm going to enter for the maths mark, I'm going to enter 36, and for ICT I'm going to enter 87. Now here in physics marks, okay, let me get this code into the whiteboard and let increase the font size. I'm going to hand trace this code. I'm going to go through this code and try to understand what's happening. Okay, now when user enter some data into this this first input function, physics variable, okay, the variable physics going to hold some string data. Okay, let's say user enter number 54, then it will stored in the physics variable physics as a string data. Okay, as a string data. Now when I enter 36 for maths, what's going to happen? The value 36 is going to be stored in maths variable as 36, but as a string. Okay, string 36. When I add 87 for ICT variable, okay, it's going to save as string 87 on this ICT variable. So now we have three different strings. Okay, we have three different strings. Now what we are doing here, we are adding three strings together. Okay, we are adding three strings together. Now let's see what's happened when we try to add strings together. Okay, when you use the add operation, okay, with string data, let's see what's going to happen. Let's open the idle. Okay, here let me add two integers first. Okay, let me add two integers. I'm adding 5 and 6 together, and we are getting 11. Okay, which is correct. And if I add 3.14 and 6.86, we should get number 10. Okay, floating points are working perfectly. If I add two integers, okay, I add ABC with XYZ. Is this meaningful, Is there any meaning adding two strings together? Okay, yeah, in Python context, there is a meaning. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. See what's happened, these two strings concatenated together. Okay, we call this the functionality which is happening here, we call this concatenation. Okay, concatenation, adding two strings together. Okay, adding two strings together, connecting two strings together. In this way we say that concatenation. So what's happening here is string concatenation. Okay, string concatenation is happening here. Now when I add three strings, okay, which are the marks for three subjects, 54 for physics and 36 for mathematics and 87 for ICT, see what's going to happen. See, these three strings get concatenated. Okay, it's got concatenated. It's not added together in a numerical way. Okay, not in a numerical way, it just added together in concatenation. Okay, it's concatenated. So what's going to happen? After 54, this 36 will be written, and after 36, then 87 will be written. So we call this concatenation. Okay, this string data will be concatenated. So that's what happening here, Okay, that's what happening here. So even though we enter data, input function will return it as a string. Okay, input function will return this as a string. So variable physics will be holding a string value, and maths and ICT same. Okay, both three variables are holding string data, when we are adding this string data together, what's going to happen? These three data will be concatenated together. Okay, let's run this code again and let's see whether it is correct. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some same numbers into these three variables, 36 and 87. Now here you can see it's 54, 36, 87. These three data has been concatenated. Okay, that's what happened here. Okay, that's what happening here. So this is not okay. Okay, this is not okay. We can't expect when we now at the beginning of the code okay, at the beginning of the today's session, we were able to add three numbers together. Okay, we were able to add these three numbers together. We were just not able to let user to insert some data into the code. Okay, we were not able to let user to enter some data into our code. Now we have a solution for that. Okay, we have resolved that problem. Now user can enter some data into our code, but the problem is user may enter any type of data, but everything will come into our code as a string. Okay, that's the problem that we are having now. Okay, that's the problem that we are having now. So we need some solution for that. Okay, we need some solution for that, and there is a solution. Okay, there is a solution. We call this casting. The solution is casting. Okay, solution is casting. Casting is what is the meaning of casting? Casting is we can convert one data type into another data type. Okay, one data type, we can convert one data type into another data type. This concept, another data type, this concept we call casting. Okay, or data casting. We convert one data type to another data type. Okay, we call this concept casting. Now here there are when we are casting in order to cast data, Python has given some functions. In order to print something to string, we are given the print function. In order to get user input, we are given the input function. In order to cast data between data types, we are given some functions. Okay, let's say I want to convert some data type into an integer, then I can use this int function. Okay, if I want to convert some data into an integer, then I can use this int function. Whatever data that I want to convert into integer, I can pass here. Okay, I can pass it here. If I want to convert some data into float, okay, let's say floating point, then I can use this float function. Okay, if I want to convert some data into floating point, then I can use this float function. And also if I want to convert some data into string, then I can use this string function, which is str, shorter for string. If I want to convert some data into boolean, then I can use this function bool. As I remember, it is bool, right? Let me check. Yeah, it's bool. Okay, if I want to convert some data into boolean, then I can use this bool function. Okay, these are the four different casting functions that we are having in Python. If you want to convert some data into integer, we can use this int function. If you want to convert some data into floating point, then we can use float function, so forth and so on. We can use str and bool functions in order to convert different data types into string and bool. Now there is a problem, okay, when we are using these casting functions. Also there is a problem, right? Now let's say I try to convert this number, which is let's say 13ab. Okay, 13ab. I'm trying to convert this string into an integer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass this string 13ab into this int casting function. Okay, this is what I'm doing. So can Python convert this data into an integer? Is there a logic converting this data into an integer? No, there is no any meaning doing that. Okay, now let's try to do that first. Let's check what's going to happen. Okay, I'm going to pass this data. This has some digits, okay. This data contains some digits, but there is no logic to convert this into integer. Are we supposed to remove these two data? Okay, how we can say how Python can confirm that? Okay, are we supposed to remove these two strings, or what we should do? Okay, there is no logic. Okay, so anyway, let's enter. So what's going to tell? Okay, interpreter is going to throw an error. Is telling invalid literal for int with base 10. Okay, literal mean this data. Okay, this data what we are passing into the passing into this function lamai. Okay, this is a literal, this false is a literal, this string is a literal, this number 5 is a literal, 6 is a literal, 11 is a literal, 3.14, 6.86, everything is literal lamai. Okay, everything is literal. But if we write something like this, a equals 5, now a is not a literal lamai. A is a variable and 5 is a literal. This equal symbol, it is operator. Okay, it is an operator. Here a is a variable, 5 is a literal, and the symbol, which is the equal or the assignment operator, it is an operator. These things we will talk later on. Okay, we will learn these things later. Now, however, if we pass something which is not meant to be an integer, okay, then interpreter is going to throw some error. Okay, it is very clear. Okay, because interpreter don't have any logic to convert this 13AB into an integer. So there is no any meaning. So it's going to throw some error. If we want to convert a floating point, okay, let me close this one and open idle again, because we can't clear this idle environment. That's why we have to close it again and again. Okay, let's say I'm going to convert, I'm going to do what? I'm going to enter, I'm going to convert floating point value into an integer. So I'm going to pass some floating point data, let's say 3.14, okay, 3.14, and we are going to convert this 3.14 into an integer. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. It's okay, Lama. Okay, so it's working fine. Okay, it's work fine. We can convert floating point into an integer. And let's try to convert Boolean value. Let's say number true. We are going to convert true into an what? Into an integer. Okay, it is also working, Lama. Okay, it is also working. We call this concept because true, we can say it's 1. Okay, in logic gates as well we learn. Okay, we can say true either 1 to the true value. We call this truthiness. Okay, truthiness. There are several type of data which can be a true value. Okay, let's talk about these things also later. Okay, we can convert Boolean into integer as well. Okay, if we pass false, then eventually it should be false. It should be 0. Okay. Now, is it not possible to convert string into an integer? No, it's possible. It's possible, but what should happen, Lamak? There should be codes side by side with this integer, but there should be an number, Lamak. Okay, there should be an integer number within this double quotes, Lamak. Okay, there should be an integer number within this double quotes. Then only Python interpreter can convert this data into an integer. Okay, now if we try to convert string 456 into an integer, then it's work perfectly. Okay, it's work fine. Can convert this string 456 into integer, which is 456. Okay, which is 456. If we try to convert 3 strings like we did in the last code, like 87, and we are trying to add string 36, this one, and I'm going to add another string which is 87. Okay, 87. I'm going to add these 3 together. Now see, now we are getting 3. We are getting an integer value, because here we are adding 3 integer numbers. Okay, here we are adding 3 integer numbers because this int function is going to convert this string 87 into an integer. Okay, integer function, this int function will convert this 36, the string 36 into an integer 36, and same thing will happen to this string 87 as well. That's why we are getting this output here. 87 plus 36 means 110, and 123 plus 87 is again 210. Okay, we are getting the correct output here. Okay, but let's say I'm going to convert, I'm trying to convert string floating point. Okay, string floating point into an integer. Okay, I'm trying to convert string floating point into an integer. So let's see what's going to happen. We are getting some error, Lamai. We are getting some error. So also again it's saying invalid literal. So whenever we put this the fractional point or the full stop here, interpreter thinks, okay, this might be a textual data because he's having this full stop here. Okay, he is not consider this as the fractional point. Okay, he's not consider this as the fractional point. He's consider this as the full stop line, what we are using in our paragraph textual data. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, we can't provide string floating point. Okay, floating point number as a string into the integer function, then we are going to get some error. Okay, we are going to get some error, and we have to remember this use case as well. Okay, we have to remember this use case because this is a common mistake you might do in your codes in A levels. Okay, you might do this. This is a very common mistake that the students used to do. Okay, when you want to take a number into your code, and if user enter some floating point data, then you are going to get some error. Okay, if user enter some floating point data, you're going to get some error. Let's talk why that's happening later. Okay, in this way, Lamai, okay, in this way we can convert data into another data type. If I want to convert some data, okay, let's say I want to convert string floating point number. Now here with the float function, it's okay, Lamai. If I can try to convert this 3.14 float string into a float, then it's working, Lamai. Okay, it's working fine. But if we try to put this string 3.14 into integer, if we try to convert this into an integer, then we are getting some error. Okay, you have to remember this use case. With the float function, it is okay. Okay, with the float function, it is okay. Let me open another idle here. If I try to convert integer into a float, okay, here let's pass number 4 into float function. What's going to happen? So it will also be converted into a floating point line. Now it is 4.0. Previously it was 4. Now it is 4.0. That means it's an floating point value. Okay, that means we have this floating point. Okay, and the fractional part we are having. Okay, that's why this is a floating point number. So now in this way we can use casting functions. Okay, we have 4 casting functions. Also, if we want to convert integer or let's say floating point, whatever, into an string, we can do this in this way. It is going to be converted into an string. So in this way, we can use these casting functions to convert one data type into another data type. Now, what's the problem that we are trying to solve? The problem that we are trying to solve is when we are get some input. Okay, when we are getting input from user, every time input function, even though user enter integer data, floating point data, whatever data type user going to insert, enter into this input function, input function will return a string. Okay, input function will return a string. There's a problem now. We can't add these strings together and not get a numerical value. It's going to just concatenate these 3 strings. Okay, but that's not the behavior that we want in this code. Okay, we want these in integer form or a numerical form, not in textual form. Okay, we want this data in numerical form. So there should be some mechanism. Okay, there should be some mechanism to convert this string data into an integer. Otherwise, there is no point of using the input function. Okay, you can understand that, right? Every time if input function is going to return everything as a string, then there is no point of using this input function. Okay, there should be some mechanism. The mechanism is casting. Okay, casting is the mechanism that we are having. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to take down this note as well. So it's better if you can write down this code and you can explain what's the problem that you are trying to solve. Okay, here input function is returning all the data input into this input function as a string, which has become a problem when we try to do some arithmetic operations with this data, because this data also strings here. Okay, this data also strings here, but we need numerical data. Okay, maybe it's integers, maybe floating points, whatever. So we can't do any arithmetic operations with this string data. Okay, it's going to be concatenated. That's not the behavior that we want. Okay, that's not the behavior that we want. We want numerical data to adapt as in arithmetical way. In arithmetical, that's the problem that we are going to solve. So in order to do that, we have these casting functions. Now let's see how we can do that. Okay, we can use this casting function to convert one data type into another data type, and there are some use cases that you have to remember. Okay, like when we input non-integer data as a string into an integer function, then we are going to get some error. Okay, also if we put something like 3.14, okay, 3.14 or a fractional number as a string into the integer casting function, then also we are going to get some error. Okay, put these special cases as well. Okay, take a couple of minutes to put this note, Lamai. Okay, now let's see how we can convert this input that we are going to get from user into an integer. So here it's very simple, Lamai. Okay, it's very simple. What we can do before assign that number into this variable. Okay, before assign that number to this variable, what we can do, we can put this whole thing in the int function, Lamai. Okay, we can put the whole thing in the int function. Then what's going to happen? First, okay, again, if I draw the tree, okay, if I draw the tree for this particular expression, which is now physics equals int. Now here you can see some exit full screen later. I'm not sure where I'm getting that. Okay, anyway, int, and here we have input, and we provide some message here. Okay, this is how this expression going to be executed, Lama. Okay, here in the top we have this assignment operator, and at the right side we have, so left side we have this physics. On the right side we have first it's going to the last it's going to execute this int function. Before that it's going to execute the input function. Okay, this is the order where the function is going to be executed. Now first it's going to execute the input function, then it's going to convert that into integer, and then that integer value will be assigned into this variable. This is how it is going to work, Lamai. Okay, this part it's not very necessary, but knowing that is not damage. Okay, you can still, even though it's not necessary, you can spend some time to understand these things, how it's working. Okay, this is how it's going to happen, Lama. So we can put this whole thing into this int function in order to convert this into an integer. Okay, here in this way we can convert to an integer. Also we can convert this string into an integer in this way, Lama. Okay, also we can convert this. Give me 1 second. Okay, what we are talking about is okay. Now in this way, Lamai, I can convert this into integers before we assign that data into these variables. Now, Lamai, in this class, okay, in this class, I'm not taking very long time in order to explain these things. Now, if you want a very detailed explanation, okay, how to do these things in line by line, very detailed explanation I have done in the singular videos, Lamai. Okay, in singular medium class I have done, but since I don't have a very big audience here for this English medium classes right now, I'm not going to take a very long time because there are some time problem as and time limitation as well. So I'm going to tell you things. I'm not going to tell you everything in detail. Okay, if you want, you can refer to the singular medium videos. But if you have any question, let's say you can't understand singular videos, then please ask me. Okay, my WhatsApp number is there, and you can ask in the WhatsApp chat as well. Okay, if you have any question, please reach to me. Okay, don't hesitate to reach to me, and you can ask anything. Okay, any problem you have, you can ask. Okay, now in this way, now we can convert this string, whatever the string inputs, string data which is going to be returned by the input function, we can convert this into an integer before we assign it to these variables. Okay, now let's run the same code and let's see what's the output we are going to get. Now here I get 50 as physics marks, I'm going to add 60 as maths mark, and I'm going to add 70 as ICT marks. Now here you can see we get the correct result. 50 plus 60 is 110, and 110 plus 70 means 180. In this way, we can get the correct output. Here, what we do now, we let our user to enter data, and also when we are letting our user to enter data using this input function, we face to we go to another trouble, which is every time whatever the data that user going to input, it's going to be returned as a string from this input function. And now we know how we can convert that string into an integer before assign that data into these variables. So in this way we can write our this program without getting any errors. Okay, without getting any errors. But just imagine lamai, just imagine if user entered the floating point number here, like let's say enter physics mass, and I'm going to enter like 3.14. Now it's going to send some error lamai. Why? Now input function is going to return this 3.14 as a string. So that will be the input. Okay, that will be the parameter or the data into this int function. So now int function will get 3.14. That's the problem. That's the use case that we have to remember. Previously I said when I am saying that telling this issue, I told you have to remember this because there might be some scenarios you have to take floating point data, or might be there's a possibility to that data to become a floating point, like let's say we are getting width and height, some data like that. So in that cases, in those cases it's better to use float function here. That means you are getting this number as a float. Okay, you are getting this number as a float. If it is necessary to it to be an integer, then you can convert this int into float into int again. Okay, you have to change these functions. Okay, you have to change these functions. First it's going to now here you have to close these brackets as well. Okay, now what's going to happen? First user will enter some data. Okay, user will enter some data and it's going to be returned as a string. So it's a string to the float function. So it's like, so if I show you here, okay, here we have a equals int float, inside float we have 3.14. so first it will be converted into this 3.14 will be converted into a floating point, which is 3.14. It is okay, and then that 3.14 will be converted into an integer, which is 3. Okay, if I execute this one, now here you can see a is 3. Okay, we can change this if we want to, if it is necessary to that number to be an integer and there is a possibility or risk that the user might enter a floating point number as the input, then we can use this way. Okay, you can use this way, but there are another mechanism, there are some other mechanism to control these things like error handling, try exception, these kind of mechanisms are there in programming languages in order to handle these kind of situations. But here, since we are not learning those things under A-level syllabus, we can use this simple trick. Okay, we can use this simple trick to do that. But in Python codes that you are going to write in A-level paper, it's not necessary to make this complex. Okay, you can write assumptions. Okay, you can write assumptions in your code. Okay, let's assume user will enter only an integer data here. Okay, you can write something like assumption, then it's not going to be a problem. Okay, in A level they are not expecting you to write codes as software engineers. They are just expecting they are just check whether you know the concepts. Okay, they are not checking whether you are software engineers or not. Okay, so in this LMI we can convert this data into integers before convert this into before assign this data into variables. So let's update the same code. Okay, let's do the same thing in here and let's try to build the project or build the code, and let's try to execute that code as an application. Okay, execute this code as an application. Now we can happily use this average calculation. Why I was avoiding use that average calculation. The reason is here when we are not casting this data with the concatenation, we are going to get some string data. If we divide this string data, okay, if we divide this string data by some number, then we are going to get some operation error. Here you can see unsupported operand types for the divide operation, string and int. String cannot be divided by int. Okay, this is the incorrect operation. Okay, compiler the interpreter is going to send an error. Okay, this is a incorrect operation. That's why I was avoiding this average calculation. Now we can happily use this average calculation. Average is total by 3, and we can print this average as well. Okay, we can print this average as well because now total is a total is a integer, and average is going to be now this total is going to be divided by number 3. Okay, now this thing also you have to remember, whenever we divide integer by integer, the output we are getting is floating point line. Okay, this operation, this divide operation, always going to return floating points. Okay, this division operation is going to return floating point numbers. Okay, we have to remember that as well, very necessary. But now we have everything right down, and let's try to build this code now. Okay, So again build this code. It's going to do the same error that we had before. Okay, let's just stop this, clear this, run it again. It's taking a couple of minutes. Okay, now it's done, and let's run this code. Okay, here now we can enter physics marks, let's say 54, and we can enter maths marks, ICT marks, then we get total at 200 and average as 66.6666, some number. We can change this to two fractional points as well. Okay, we can format this. Let's learn those things later. Now we can happily use this, we can send this application to our friend Lamai. Okay, now we can happily share this program with our friends. We just have to share this application now, which is around 7.7 megabytes. Okay, you don't have to install Python or whatever, you don't have to do. We just can share this program with our friends. If I put this in where, if I put this in your chat, let's see whether you can take this code. What is the name of our chat? It's Python, right? Python 2024 2025. So I'm going to put this one here. I'm not sure it's going to let me send this because it's a executable. Okay, because it's a executable, and WhatsApp is kind of blocking sending executable because we can send virus also as executables. So let's see. Yeah, WhatsApp is letting me do that. You can save that into your computer and you can run. Okay, you can run this code and you can execute and you can see whether it is working in your computer. And yeah, I think that's all for today, Lamai. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions regarding the topics that we have talked today? If you have any questions, I can answer those, and if you don't have questions right now, and if you get any questions after the class, then you can definitely put in the on our chat, and I'm happy to provide you any answers that you want there. Superb. Then thanks for joining, Lamai. We can wind up the session here today, and let's meet in the next session. Okay, thank you, Lamai, and good night.